Okay, so we've got the diff out, now we're ready to rebuild it. So, first things, make sure you've got the correct tool, take the differential apart. You make sure you've got your diff greases. So I've got this is for thrust, they're gold, 1-up gold, and this is the pink I use. Found this really good, got it recommended, and well, yeah, it is good. It's not the cheapest, but it does work. So, and if you can, buy it in the bigger part. It just makes life easier, especially if you're rebuilding your diff on a regular basis. Right, so diff, and you can see it's not too bad. It's a little bit dirty on the outside, but nothing too major. But what I will do, and a lot of people might cringe at this, I just like to clean these teeth with the brush, but I'm not going to do it over this because this is nice and clean, so I'm going to do it over a rag somewhere and I'll bring it back. The idea is just so you're not having too much dirt floating around when you're actually rebuilding the differential. You can always make sure as well you've got yourself a decent microfiber cloth. I have a microfiber cloth with me here. I just give it I'm just giving it a little wipe. I'm just making sure some of the rubbish is none of the rubbish is going to try and fall into the diff. Some will, and we will clean that, but the less you have floating around, the less chance of making a complete hash of this. Right, so now we want to take it apart. Now I've started running, especially when it's really dusty. I've put in a piece of foam to cover the thrust race. Just need to pull that out. As you can see, it's not too bad, that, but I might give that a bit of a clean, or because we've got so many old foams, I'll just replace it. Depends how I feel. Rub it in my hands, doesn't look too bad, so it hasn't come up. Always a good indicator. How dirty your hands are is how dirty the diff is. Right, so 2mm. Most diffs now use a 2mm. In you go. Now start doing it. Now, be very careful. Just don't undo it, because if you do, things will just fall across the bench and then you'll just be scrabbling. Or worse still, lose a ball in the carpet. Don't want to do that. So as I unscrew this, I'm holding the other side, and I've also got my finger on the diff here on this side. So I'm just trying to keep it all together. All I'm wanting to do is unscrew this diff nut. As I'm doing it, this side here, this is moving out. You'll feel it in your finger. You feel it if you've got your thumb over it. Eventually it will stop moving, which means you come to the end of it. Now, this might come out. It's trying to. Now, some diffs have loose thrust race balls. And so what will happen is, as you pull it out, the thrust race balls will fall out. As you can see, there's a couple there, and there's still some in there. You just have to be very careful. This is why having another screwdriver comes in handy. You just want to pop them out. You must remember how many come out. I'm looking in there. Don't know whether you can see in there. There isn't any more in there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I want to make sure I keep all them together. Haven't done anything about cleaning them yet. They're quite happy over there by themselves. Now you disassemble it. You put it into sections on your paper. So the first bit comes out. Yeah. As you can see, no balls are falling out because I'm holding it. It won't fall out. As I'm holding it like this, the balls will not fall out. So your first piece. Doesn't look too bad. Still a reasonable amount of grease on there, looking good. But it has had a good run, so I do need to make sure. Now, before I turn this over, if I move my finger out of the way, right, sure, that's the very end piece. So that goes over on this side. The spring fell out. So you can see how easy it is for things to fall out. The spring's big enough to see. These little bits, if you lose them, you can be stuffed. Right, now, the rotation of the diff, depending on what goes on, your gears will wear in a certain way. So you need to try and mark it so you can understand which way it's meant to go, which way the screw goes in, so forth. So you can, and I just occasionally just like to put a mark. I don't know whether you can see that. It's like a gold marker pen. I just don't matter if you put too much on, because eventually it will wash off. You just make sure you get it all. Yeah, so you know it's that side. So the gold side goes to the gold grease or to the thrust race. Doesn't matter. Now, when you pull this apart, the balls might fall out. depending on which way you've got it upside, which way you've got it. Just be very careful. There you go, come apart again. So there we go. That is the differential part. X-ray gears have a weird way of holding the balls in, which is very good. They have a square section and a round, or a square on one side, round on another. The idea is you push through the round, it hits the square, the balls will not fall through because of the square section. Ingenious. Again, check the manual, you'll see it. It's a really good idea. So what I'm going to do now is, because I've re-greased this a couple of times, I'm now going to take this completely down to every component and clean every component carefully. So what I'll do is I'll just pause the video and I'll come back once everything's nice and clean. Oh, I forgot to say, brake cleaner, clean off all the grease, brake cleaner and your microfiber cloth. Make sure you do it over a bowl or something, so when you're spraying, you don't, if anything drops out, it drops in the bowl, you can then find it. Again, too easy to lose things. Right, back in a sec. Also, when you take this apart, I say, all I've done now is currently I've just wiped the grease off, not sprayed anything over it. Comes up, and it will pull apart. You notice there is a line on the diff ring. That's where the balls have been running. Now, if you can, if these are brand new, you can, if you want, swap them over. But again, you can see these have already been run. There's a line on there as well. So you have to decide which one you want to run. Because I'm just going to rebuild it, and you can keep doing this. Some people might say it's a bit cheap, but just make sure you know that that's the upper face. That's the face that's got to go on the balls. So again, you clean it and you put it together. You put it on the bench in such a way that you remember that that's the surface that goes against the balls. Right, we're back. Okay, so cleaned it all nice and clean. Diff rings are clean, balls have been taken out, diff gears nice and clean, thrust race nice and clean. I forgot to say that sometimes the second plate will get stuck in there. You have to push it out from that side, but it also means you also have to clean that as well, because that's where all the grit gets stuck in there. Hence the reason why you try and run a bit of foam to try and stop all the grit going in there to destroy that. Now, as you can see, I don't know whether you can really see on there, there is some really quite decent grooves in there. So I'm not happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet and dry them, and I'm going to flatten them off. And I might just do the same here. There's not a huge amount of a line there, to be honest, so you might get away with it. I think I'll leave them. Actually, no, I don't. I'm not going to. I'm going to flatten them. So all I do to flatten them, it's very simple, is some wet and dry on a flat surface, rub it over, get rid of the lines. It's as simple as that. Nothing too complicated. It doesn't have to be really coarse wet and dry. I currently use, if I have some of them, say I've got some 120. Don't know whether you can just make them out. 120. Nothing fancy. You can see where I'm rubbing around. And I've got some 600 here if I really fancy giving it a good polish. But just do that. Give it a good. Make sure it's nice and wet. Make sure it's on the flat surface, and go for it. You're just trying to get rid of that groove as much as possible. You can buy new plates and new balls, but the cost of it is quite an expense. So if you're just looking to keep going, and you want a good differential, but you don't want to spend a fortune, this will just keep you going. And eventually what you'll do is then you can just turn the plates over, do the other side on both, and then if you want, think, well, okay, if I turn the plates over and they're new on both sides, I can just change the balls. Then you can run that, flatten the plates a couple more times, and then you can change balls and plates. So you can do it. You don't have to do it all the time. You don't have to replace everything all the time. So, because we know how expensive some stuff is. Right, I'm just going to flatten them. I won't bore you with how to do that. I'm sure you know how to do that. But okay, so we're back. So I've wet and dried these. Tell by my dirty fingers. So you can see groove gone. So the longer you take, on it, the better they're going to be. So you just want a nice smooth surface. Some people say you shouldn't, some people say you should. I like to. As you can see by my hands, I'm starting to get greasy. So I'll stop again, clean them, ready to put this back together. Okay, we're back. Semi-clean hands, better than they were. Okay, so we're going to need to start assembling it. Now, you can assemble it however you want. When you start that side, just work your way. I like to do this one first, do the diff gear first. So, I have myself a screwdriver. Make sure it's clean. It is. You don't have to use a screwdriver, you can use an Allen key, whatever. What you're doing is you're just looking for something to actually enable you to take the grease, put it in the hole. As you can see, so you can really make out, but I suppose if you look in the manual, this side is round, that side is slightly closed, so the ball won't drop through this way. If you tip it upside down, they will. So I run it this way, so whenever I take the diff apart, I have it like that. I know the disc won't fall, the balls won't fall out of the diff. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to put some grease in there. Now, you can put lots, and if you put too much in, I think, a lot of people some people might disagree with me, is all it does is just squeezes out, and you've just spent £10 on a bottle of grease, and you just keep throwing it in, and you just keep squeezing it out and wiping it off. You don't put it back in the pot. So you just want to make sure you get some in the hole, because the ball is going to push that out anyway. As soon as you put the ball in, the ball is going to start pushing that grease out to the other side. So just make sure you've got grease in all of the balls. Sorry, grease in all the holes, which you have. Don't know whether you really saw that because it was down there. Not very good, sorry. Then what you do, you take your balls. I've cleaned these. What you do is you start pushing them in. And again, because of the way X-Ray have built this, they won't fall out. So, good idea, X-Ray. What you pay your money for. It's a simple solution. Wish you took some engineering to get that manufactured. Very good idea. So just start putting the balls back in the holes. Again, always useful to have it on white paper, because that way you know you're not going to lose any. Or if you do lose off of here, well, good luck. All right, there we go. There is a little bit of grease. I'm picking up a little bit of grease on my fingers, which does help when I'm picking up the balls. Right, there we go. Balls in. Not going to go anywhere. Right. Now it's a case like, well, which side do I do first? So I like to assemble this side. A bit weird, I know. So take your out drive. That's a clean. Just take a little bit of grease, and you just want to put it there. All that's doing is just making sure this doesn't fall off of that if you have to dip it up. So it sits on there like that. As you can see, I didn't really bother flattening these. There was hardly a groove in them. I thought I'm going to leave it. Do it the next time. Take the gift, put it on the mail. Now, just realised I made a mistake. As you can see, all the grease that's come out the other side. I won't tip it upside down because the balls will fall out. But all the grease has been pushed through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some more grease, which is a step I forgot to tell you, on the diff ring. The reason being is because when you put that on, that will then push more grease against the balls, and it will also push more grease through the diff as well. You don't want it overflowing. You just need a good layer. There you go. Nice good layer. Slide that on. Done. That's that side done. Right. Take this. Take the next side of your diff. The female side. Put a little bit of grease on there. Take your clean diff ring. I put it on and just twist it to make sure there's grease. Squeeze the grease around the edge. Right. Now, you've got no grease on the balls there, and you've got no grease on that diff ring. So what I like to do is just put a little bit of grease. It doesn't have to be fun. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure there is some grease on this side, on top of the balls, like so. And then take this one and put the grease on the plate. And again, you just want a nice layer of grease all the way around. You're not looking to flood it with grease. If you could flood with grease, I don't know. You're just looking to get a nice coating, like so. Now, you take that. I don't know where you can see there. I've got my finger holding it all together. So you see, it's being held together. It's not going to go anywhere. Take this, just slide it on. Now, before you do anything else, give it a twist. If there's anything feels gritty or anything in there, take it apart and start again, because there's more like a ball of small grain of sand or something in there. That feels fine. Leave that there, like that. Put the lid back on there. Don't want to get any dirt in there. This you need again, so you need to clean this again. It's grease, but you just want to make sure it's clean grease. Thrust race time. You'll love this. Right, so you take your thrust race plate, your flattened side, as you can see. If I take it off, you can really see that. You can see that one's got quite a nice shiny groove in there, so that's going to have to be redone, or I'm just going to have to buy new plates next time round. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of grease on the screwdriver, not a huge amount, and on there, like that. I'm just going to, now with the thrust race, I think you do need to make sure you've got a reasonable amount of grease on it. This poor little thing works overtime. Right, there you go. You see I've got a nice coating of grease all the way around. Now you've got to get the balls from there to there. It depends how you want to do that. So you can use the screwdriver, which has got a little bit of grease on, and just pick one up and rest it in the grease, making sure you know how many you've got. So there's 6 on this, so you make sure. If not, refer to the manual, make sure you're putting the right number back in. Right, so as you see, the balls are all sat nicely in the grease. I'm going to put that down there for a second. This is where the bit becomes messy. So you've got this side, you want to put that on there. So you've got to get some grease on there. But put grease on there, then comes on there. It's just a mess. This is where you will get messy. So I just like to put a little bit of grease on. It doesn't have to be a huge amount because you've got quite a lot on there already. But I just don't like to put a dry surface. And then what you now have to do, again, is feed that onto there. Slide a bit surely, then just pull that down. There we go. It's on. Now you've got to clean it. So before I do anything like that, just wipe my hands dry. Always good. Otherwise things just stick to your hands. Put the lid back on there. Again, don't want to get any dirt in your grease. Rebuild grease. Right. Here we go. So you can see it's all there and there's a bit of grease. All I do is I'm pushing, using my thumb, pushing it all together. Just squeezing a little bit of grease out. I'm just using my finger and I'm just going around and make sure the balls are pushed in and there's grease there. That's it. Wipe the grease on my finger. Done. See, nice and neat. Nothing fantastic, nothing special, but nice, good. Right. This becomes the interesting part. So, put on the end of your Allen. Got mine at 45 degrees. You can't really tell on the video, but it's at 45 degrees. So it's not going to fall off. Take your diff that you've built, holding it all together as normal, and push it through. And then stand it up like that. Right, so it's vertical. See, 45 degrees. You can see it's not going anywhere. It can't drop down, unless you suddenly lose gravity for some particular reason. It's not going up. Then you start putting that. So you put the spring in first. Make sure the spring goes over the screw. I don't know where you can just about make that out. And you'll see there's some thread. The screw's gone in and there's some thread showing. That's a good sign. Right, now, X-ray have given us this, which is good. It's metal. And it's like, yeah, it's fine. The problem with it is when you drop it in, it has a tendency to spin. So it sits like that, not like that. So you just have to be careful. You have to try and like hold it with your fingers as you push it down. Eventually it will. And if you want a little bit of assistance while you're pushing it down, spin the Allen drive. And what will happen is the Allen, it will eventually all just fall together. Bang it down on the table, and eventually you'll start to see the thread coming through. I don't know what you can make out on there. The thread's coming through. It'll start to grip. And you'll feel it get tight. Now, as soon as it gets tight like that, stop. Now, tightening a diff and setting a diff is a bit black art to some people. So I've tightened mine. As you can see there, it's not that little collar threaded. It's not all the way up against there, so it's not tight. But what I like to do again is I like to bed it in. I like to seat it. So what I'm doing is I'm just twisting it. Turn it over, twist it. Feels nice and smooth and greasy, so you can drop it. Then you tighten up a bit more. So I like to then put a couple of turns on. Again, it then suddenly, you're turning it and suddenly it becomes tight. It's like, it's not locked down. So then twist it again. And immediately you feel there's a different action. So twist it again. Twist it again. And then we twist it. Then we tighten it. And each time you tighten it, it gets harder to tighten. Now, X-rays say, see, I'm just twisting it. I'm just bedding it in. Just make sure everything's nicely bedded in. You're looking for a nice, smooth action. Again, if it feels gritty at any stage, you need to take it apart and start again. So that's why making it nice and clean at the beginning is a big must. Right, now, how do you set this? Now, there's several ways. So what I'll do is I'll show you the way I do it. And I forgot to get the specific tool for the job ready. You'll like this. So what you do is you make sure that's the Allen side. So the diff sits like that and drives that way. So if it's going to slip that way. Or I always have the Allen bolt on the slipper side. Or doesn't really make a huge amount of difference on modern cars. So just have it that way. So it's going to drive that way. It's going that way. So this gear is going to turn that way. Right. So what you need to do is you need to check, see if that is slipping. Now, the only way to do that is you've got to hold them. Now, unless you're very talented, you can't hold them and twist that at the same time. Unless you've got a friend who wants to come and hold your differential for you. So, what I use, a pair of scissors. It's a bit weird, I know. But I put the pair of scissors in the outdrive. Like so. There you go. So it sits like that. Now, I can then twist the diff gear. Now, don't force it. Just put a light bit of pressure on it. And just keep increasing the pressure. Until you just keep increasing. Right, that will not turn. So there's a lot of force behind that. That won't turn. And the diff is nice and smooth. So, that's it. So I just clean. There's not a huge amount, see, there's not a huge amount of grease in there because I put grease in, but it's not spilling out. That's it, done. Now, if you happen to, if you really hanging on it and the diff gear starts to move just a little bit, stop. Tighten that up a little bit more. Spin over the outdrive again. Try again. So once you've done that, you then need to put it back in the car. Just a reverse of what we did previously. Once it's in the car, you need to set it. So to set it when it's in the car, check to make sure the slipper is loose and in good condition as well. So you must check the slipper. Make sure the slipper is loose. Put it all back in the car. Put the batteries in it and run the car. When I say run the car, I mean run the car on the bench. So what I'll do is I will stop this video. I'll put my car back together and I'll show you how I set my differential.